Jeff Houston is out and Leon Williams is in as BTC's new CEO. 43,000 people said to be living in poverty in the Bahamas. Officer Clayton Fernandez-Straubers sentenced today. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Vonnie Toot and NV12 starts now. Topping news tonight, 6 years after he was fired from the Bahamas telecommunications company, Leon Williams has been appointed by the board of directors as BTC's CEO on a 12-month contract. He will replace Jeff Houston, who will officially step down on June 30th and leave BTC on August 31st. Officials made the announcement at a news conference this afternoon.
We are here to serve the Bahamian people, and I very much wanted to ensure that we had a leader that could win the hearts and minds of the Bahamian people as we move into a competitive market.
As Cable and Wireless Communications prepares to invest some $200 million in BTC's network over the next 3 years, Chairman Phil Bentley says Leon Williams is the right person to take BTC through its next phase of development. It has long been speculated that Williams would be appointed to the top post at BTC. Quite frankly, Bentley says he found those comments hurtful and insisted he was not pressured by the government to appoint Williams as CEO after the two sides struck a new deal earlier this year.
Lot of speculation in the press, a lot of it frankly misguided, and a lot of comments that I think have been quite hurtful, particularly to Leon. Let me just say categorically, this was a decision that I have taken. I have been under no pressure whatsoever from the BTC board. I've been under no pressure whatsoever from the Prime Minister. Quite the opposite. I have gone to him for advice from time to time and have sought the advice of the BTC board. But this was my decision, and I think it's the right decision. As I said, I wanted someone who understands technology and understands the Bahamian people, and I can't think of a better person who meets both of those requirements.
Williams' appointment as CEO comes 6 years after he was fired from that very post. Then BTC Chairman Julian Francis claimed that Williams was pretending to be an expert in communications, but that was really just a smokescreen. Francis also said Williams was incapable of properly managing the company, which was being prepared for privatization at the time. Williams and Bentley responded to those comments today.
The numbers that they reflected, you can go to the BTC website and go on the pages and see what the company did. The EBITDA went from 26% to 34%. The profits went from 34 million to 48 million. The monies in the bank went from 70 million to 170 million. The revenues went from 270 up to 353. And you know, that is what it is.
We're talking about a time, 2007, 2008?
2008, yeah.
I've certainly done our due diligence on that, and I feel very confident that Leon is the right guy to lead the company going forward.
Williams took legal action after BTC terminated him in 2008 and reached a settlement with BTC in 2011. He currently serves as a director on BTC's board and advisor to Bentley. Williams takes over from Jeff Houston, who has served as CEO of BTC since its privatization in April 2011. Though he officially steps down as CEO at the end of this month, officials say Houston will be available to his successor until his departure from the company on August 31st. Now that BTC's monopoly in the cellular market has ended, he says the company's focus is on preparing for competition. Hence the $200 million investment-led strategy.
We'll be investing in improving our mobile network. We're aware that drop calls is still an issue in the business. We will be investing in new IP, Internet Protocol technologies that leverages our fixed networks with our mobile networks. We'll also be investing in our IP TV.
Williams says BTC has a lot of work to do before the government awards a second cellular license.
We really need to be able to prepare the company to serve the customers. While competition is a big goal, I would be assured that Phil will support me in this commitment. We really want to be able to serve our customers. BTC is being run by Bahamians. It is a Bahamian company, 51% economically owned by Bahamians, and stay with us. We will get you through the tough times.
The Department of Statistics is reporting a 3.5% increase in the nation's poverty level. A survey which was conducted between February and June 2013 collected socioeconomic and demographic information from over 2,100 homes across the country. Royston Jones has the numbers.
Statistician Brenda Lee Adderley said a pertinent finding was the increase in the absolute poverty line. She said more than 40,000 Bahamians now live in poverty, a 3.5% increase from the Department of Statistics findings in 2001. The absolute poverty line now stands at $11.64 per person per day, which translates into an annual poverty line of $4,247. That is the amount an individual needs to meet his or her basic necessities.
12.8% of the population, approximately 43,000 persons, do not meet the minimum requirement of 4,247. And are therefore living in poverty. The level of poverty, therefore, has increased since 2001, when the Living Condition Survey, which we commonly call the BLCS, calculated the rate of poverty to be 9.3%. At the time, the poverty line was $2,863.
Households living in poverty also experienced an increase from 5.3% in 2011 to 8.7% in 2013. Adderley noted poverty rates varied by island, with the lowest rate in Grand Bahama at 9.7%, while the highest rate was found in the Family Islands, a collective 17.2%. Almost three-quarters of the poor reside in New Providence, where the poverty rate is 12.6%. Officials also noted poverty varies by nationality, with Haitians having the highest poverty levels.
Poverty is highest among the Haitian national, with a rate of 37.7%. National of Canada, United Kingdom, and the United States show the lowest poverty rate of 3.4, while the Bahamian the rate is 11.1.
Poverty also varies by gender. 52% of all poor people are women, but their poverty rate is slightly lower than that of males, 12.4% versus 13.2%. And households headed by women, which accounts for 47% of all poor households, have a higher rate of poverty than households headed by males, 9.7% versus 7.9%. Adderley also pointed out the larger the household, the higher the rate of poverty, 1.9% for one-person households, 9.9% for households with 4 persons, and 32% for households with 7 or more people. Kelsey Dorsett, director of the Department of Statistics, believes the information gathered is critical for informed decision-making. She named the Social Services Ministry's newest social safety net program as an example.
The study provides a comprehensive profile of the poor, and this information will assist in the formulation of policies to address the needs of the poor. It will also be used, I'm sure you've heard social services talk about their CCT program, the Conditional Cash Transfer System, which they are soon to implement. So this would guide that system, assess it, and help to monitor that system.
This latest information comes in the midst of concerns over how the poor will be affected by the government's plans to implement value-added tax. Statistics Department officials said VAT considerations were not part of the survey, and when asked to comment on how new taxes will affect the impoverished in the country, Dorsett said the government has made presentations on how it expects the poor to be impacted, and they do not want to comment beyond that. Social Services Minister Melanie Griffin has said the government can handle whatever fallout comes as a result of the new tax. She also said potential fallout will likely impact the same people who are receiving social assistance now, and if the need arises, the government will strengthen the entire system. Reporting from the National Guardian in Oakesfield, I'm Royston Jones.
And Gaming Board Chairman and PLP MP Dr. Andre Rollins has asserted that the Christie administration's projected revenue forecast of $12 million from web shop taxation is playing into the Free National Movement's narrative that web shop regulation is the Christie administration's political payback to those businesses. He was responding to Prime Minister Perry Christie's recent assertion that government conservatively expects web shop revenue to provide an intake of 0.14% of GDP in the next fiscal year. That works out to around $12 million. Rollins says this will work in the FNM's favor leading up to the next general election.
This will play into the opposition's existing narrative that we are motivated by some form of political payback, as opposed to reducing the country's annual budget deficit or funding worthy causes such as public education, healthcare, sports, cultural, and infrastructural development. Failure of web shop tax revenue to meet the public's heightened expectations will inevitably increase public demand for a national lottery. And such an outcome, Mr. Speaker, will most certainly be seized upon by the opposition in the run-up to the next general election as an initiative they intend to deliver.
Rollins questioned whether $12 million from web shops is the best the government can come up with. He pointed out that estimates under the former FNM government of around $400 million have heightened public expectations for how lucrative a source of tax revenue web shop regulation can be. He also noted that since 2010, it has been stated that the yield from web shop taxation would range from $20 to $40 million, which he says is well above the current estimate.
If securing a new source of tax revenue is the motivation behind regulating and taxing web shops, as indicated by the Prime Minister, the fundamental question we must all ask, for the sake of our country and our government's depleted coffers, is this: is $12 million the best we can do? What rate of taxation is being used to arrive at this figure, Mr. Speaker? Will it be the 15% that reportedly was under consideration by the former administration? Or will we apply the same tax formula attached to revenue generated by the hotel-based casinos?
Rollins said while he believes the government can pull in more money from the regulation of the local gaming industry, he applauds its resolve to apply law and order to it.